I think a deck that I hand drew and personally handled at every stage of the process that perfectly reflects my theology, my personal gnosis, my concept of the holy guardian angel and theology, and my philosophy of life should fairly qualify it as a soul deck, right? I'm going to have a little tongue-in-cheek fun here with my words and refer to the Spirit Keeper's Tarot as my soul deck. Why am I, again, half jokingly, but also not, referring to the Spirit Keeper's Tarot as my soul deck? I'm not saying it's your soul deck or it's a soul deck or it should be anybody else's soul deck. I'm not even referring to soulmates or making references to the concept of soulmates like, oh, this deck is my soulmate, but in the form of a deck. I'm saying it's my soul deck because I'm the artist, I'm the designer, the creator. I wrote the guidebook to it. I oversaw every single aspect of its design, formatting, and production, printing, packing, shipping, mailing, all of it. I hand numbered and hand signed every single certificate of authenticity. If this isn't my soul deck, as in I have offered up as sacrifice a piece of my soul, I don't know what is. Here's the thing, right? I'm using really crazy, emotional, hyperbolic language, but it's not specific to me. I'm just being very transparent with what's happening here. It is actually pretty common. Every single artist, every single creator who produces something that is even remotely close to being that individual's great work has left a piece of their soul in there. They have sacrificed a piece of their soul in their work product. I don't care what you think your intention is. If it is anything close to a work of your personal genius, it contains a fragment of your soul. I think of the black and white first edition Spirit Keeper's Tarot deck as magic in a box. That's not to say that the other two are not magic in the box, and it's not to say that any tarot deck at all, any of the tarot decks in the bookshelf behind me, all of them are magic in a box. But it's kind of like a personality trait that's general. For example, all of us, every single one of us, are stubborn in some ways. But then there are certain people you would say that person is stubborn, right? But we are all stubborn. And so that's kind of how I feel about this deck. I call this magic in a box. But then every deck is also in some way magic in a box. For me personally, one of the things I can sense is the energetic difference between the three decks when you open the box. The black and white first edition, my personal impression is that when I open the box, I can kind of, oh, that's just how I feel. I think I need to backtrack a little about what I said for the first edition. You'll see why. So I think of the Vitruvian edition as ceremonial magic in a box. So I think of this as ceremonial magic in a box. And then now I want to backtrack and refer to the black and white first edition deck as raw power. Now that I think about it, this feels more like ceremonial magic in a box. The black and white first edition is raw, potent, occult power in a box. So it's not magic in a box. I would like to backpedal and strike that. This is raw power in a box, while this is ceremonial magic in a box. The third and final full color Revelation edition of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot deck, then, I would call this it's Revelation of the God image in a box. For me personally, the SKT is such an eerily accurate deck. It's important to remember all of us say one thing when we all really mean something else. It's just the way human nature is. So when I say this deck is really accurate or this deck is very reliable, even something like this is my soul deck, what I really mean to convey to you is that there's something about me that is activated, empowered, amplified, magnified as a direct result of a particular tool that I'm picking up. And for each of us, it's going to be a different tool that we have to hold in our hand for us to magnify or be amplified in a particular way. So for me, that happens to be this deck, my soul deck, but that doesn't mean it's objectively a deck that will do that for everybody. And so I feel like I have a responsibility to mention that. Some of the really fun, crazy, accurate readings I've had. So this one, I can't tell you the deck, the card that I drew, and you'll see why. So I was doing a reading about something, and I drew a card, and I didn't really know how it fit with the question that I asked. And then a week later, like the thing that I asked about came to be, and the company's name was the name of the card from this deck. How crazy is that? Like, what? I did tons and tons of readings with this deck for myself and for loved ones, for friends during the pandemic with the prototype of this version. And I just found it to be so reliably accurate. I was in transition in my career, and this deck did not lead me astray. It guided me so well into my current career track. It gave me really balanced prophecy. It would be rewarding. It would be everything that I wanted, but it would be exactly what I asked for. And as a direct result, I would be very much burdened with fatigue and exhaustion, overexerting myself because I want to. I mean, I'm super tired afterwards, but I'm there because of my own choice. I'm passionate about what I'm doing now, and it's so important. I'm invested. The work I'm doing, it matters. Like, you can see how it matters. You can read about it in the newspapers. This deck really gave me a balanced view of what would happen before it happened. I found that when I was going through some really emotionally tough stuff, and I did have different types of emotionally tough stuff that I had to go through over the last year, and I don't think any one or thing was there for me quite the way this deck was. This deck, I don't want to mislead and call it like a psychotherapist, because we don't want to go there. But I don't know, like a spiritual counselor. That's better. It was such an incredible spiritual counselor that was just there for me. And after readings with this deck, when I was in dark low points, it wasn't just that the messages made me feel better from like a nice, warm and fuzzy inspirational way, but I could really feel like something rose out of the cards and enveloped me and shielded me. So it's almost like it proactively psychically protected and shielded me when I needed that the most. And it knew to do that by some kind of dark, desperate emotion that was raw and vulnerable coming out of me. And then because of that, in response, the way the cards are programmed or keyed or something or who knows what, I don't understand the science, I don't understand the magic, but something happens that it meets me and goes, oh, here's a hug. It's my hug deck in that way, because it could feel the vulnerability and the rawness of my pain. And immediately you could feel the energy, the angels, the something, the spirits, the magic, the beneficence come out. The light protected me and just blanketed me and protected me. So super, like, honestly, I found that sometimes the first edition black and white deck could be harsh. Like, it's like, oh, okay, tell me how it really is. All right. Not a hug deck. Not a hug deck. Accurate, there for you, tells it to you as it is, but, just really doesn't sugarcoat. That's it. I found the Vitruvian edition to kind of feel like I could hear a cappella choir music that's very angelic playing in the background as I did readings with this. And the Revelation edition, I call it my hug deck, because something has happened by this evolution of the work that I've been doing, that it is the culmination of a lot of development, cultivation, ability. It's just the culmination of lots of things going on that really empowered this in a way that is needed in this time. This deck, I feel like the reason I would refer to it as an advanced deck is because it's spiritually advanced, in the sense that You need to be somewhere really stable and self-assured and confident to be able to optimize what's going on with this magic in a box. This edition of the Spirit Keepers Tarot, the Revelation, I call it the hug deck because it goes to you when you are in a hot mess, and it protects you, it assures you, it looks around the universe to figure out what it is exactly you need, fetches it for you very proactively, and gives it to you. So it's magic in a box. I think I love using the word magic in the box. I keep referring to everything as magic in a box, and now the term is completely diluted, and you're like, why are you using that word? It means nothing. You've just rendered that phrase completely useless. I did, because I keep calling everything magic in a box. But this deck, you do magic with. This deck does magic on you as you need it. And the Vitruvian Edition, just like every middle child ever, is somewhere in between the oldest child and the youngest child. They are oft overlooked, but they are actually very much the rock of the family because they're stable. They're actually more balanced than either the oldest or the youngest. The oldest and youngest always embody some extent of the extreme when in the context of their family. And then the middle child is just like, what keeps everyone together, right? Am I right? So truly, in terms of being multi-purpose, I would say that's the Vitruvian Edition, that's the sepia-toned one. And the Revelation Edition, the namesake, it's a revelation. It reveals. There are so many reasons why I called it the Revelation. In fact, there's like 100 reasons, layered upon layered meaning for why this is the Revelation Edition. Something I would really love from you is your feedback and your honest feedback. How has working with the Spirit Keepers Tarot Revelation Edition been for you? And if you have the First Edition or the Vitruvian or both, plus the Revelation, what are the differences from your perspective? What are your impressions of the three editions? As the deck creator, the artist, of course, I would love to know. So please don't be shy. Please reach out, and especially in the comments section, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to end with the ending of the Book of Maps. I actually don't know if I talked about this already. It's all a blur if I have. I apologize for repeating myself, but the fact that I'm repeating myself shows you how important I think it is, and that would be the section for further reading. It's first subdivided into 4 sections, actually 5. So the first 4 are by regions or cradles of civilization, and then the 5th is just general citations, general sources cited. The first is African nation states, Mesopotamia, and the Levant. And you can see how it actually gets into like a very obviously a nutshell summary of the region. And then we get into the citations for further exploration in case you are interested in any of the cultures or heritages explored in the deck from this particular region. And then you get into Europe, Greco-Roman influence, and the Occident. Again, many pages, well, not many, a couple of pages are dedicated to giving a broad nutshell overview of the culture, religion, and history from that area. And then it proceeds into the citations for all of the imagery from the deck that feature that particular region. Then we get it. The third one is Asia, the Indus Valley, and Oceania. And again, you get a couple of pages summarizing that cradle of civilization, culture, and history. And then you get into the citations that you can explore. And finally, the 4th of the 4 cradles of civilization that are explored, as I've categorized them in the back of the book, is Paleo-America, the Andes, and Mesoamerica. And we get into the culture, history, and heritage of this cradle of civilization. Once again, I do want to apologize for how haphazard a lot of these videos are, where you have different footage collaged together. it's because I don't have chunks of time where I can sit and record. I could only record bits and pieces here and there on different days at different times, a little bit in the morning here, a little bit in the evening there. Some weekends I could record for a little bit more of a prolonged period of time, but even then, no, not really. There's just so much going on. So this was the best I could do. I had to cobble it together from different footage, and hopefully it all comes together and makes some little bit of sense. And if there are production quality issues, I apologize. I'm a little bit rusty at this. I mean, I've never been good at it. So I've never been good at production. And now because I'm rusty, it's even worse.